January 1968. The Beatles were meditating in India. The world was changing fast, and somewhere on a crackling radio in the kitchen, these songs were playing. Not always the biggest hits, but the kind you remember anyway. Maybe you heard one of them while doing homework at the table, or playing cards with someone who's no longer here. Today, we're spotlighting some of the best performing songs from January '68. Great tracks that lit up the charts and still deserve to be heard today. Judy in Disguise with Glasses by John Fred and his Playboy band.
Judy in Disguise, that's what you are. Lemonade pie.
This one hit number one, even though it started as a joke. John Fred misheard Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and came up with Judy in Disguise. It was meant as a parody, but the groove, horns, and quirky vocals gave it a life of its own. Fred wasn't just a singer, he was also a standout high school basketball star. He once turned down American Bandstand to play a school game. That's how grounded he was. Still, by January '68, he had the number one song in the country, knocking the Beatles off the top.
Wearing your bracelet, your newfound gown, 'cause of your heart, yeah.
You might not remember his name, but that hook, it stuck. And maybe it brings back a moment you didn't realize you'd forgotten. Here's something else. The song was recorded in one take, right after the band came back from a long road tour. Bend Me, Shape Me by the American Breed. This one sounded like a hit from the first brass blast. The Chicago band mixed rock and soul with a big horn section, and this track had energy, polish, and momentum. It reached number 5 by the end of January. The lyrics were simple, the performance was tight, and for a lot of people, it was the kind of song blasting from a car radio on a cold morning, the kind you'd tap the steering wheel to without even thinking. The band didn't last long on the charts, but this one still hits. Bonus trivia, lead singer Gary Loizo went on to become a Grammy-nominated producer for Styx in the 1970s and 80s. Nobody But Me by the Human Beings. This is the one with the chorus that refuses to quit. No, 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 no. Over 30 times. The band came out of Ohio with a raw garage rock sound and only one big hit, but they made it count. It had grit, urgency, and a punch that made it perfect for the era. It reached number 8 in early February and still gets stuck in your head today. If you were a teenager back then, this was one you probably shouted along to, whether you meant to or not. Did you know? The song was originally recorded by the Isley Brothers back in 1962, but the Human Beings sped it up and made it their own. Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers. This was bubblegum pop with a psychedelic twist, and it hit number 1. The band wasn't aiming for this kind of sound, but their label pushed them in that direction, and it worked. The song had echo effects, sitar flourishes, and a hook that felt both strange and familiar. It reached the top of the charts by February. For a lot of people, it didn't matter what the lyrics meant. It just sounded good, like something drifting out of a transistor radio on a lazy afternoon. One extra note, it was the very first note. One hit for Butter Records, the label known for launching bubblegum pop into the mainstream. Spooky by Classics 4. This track brought something different to the charts.
In the cool of the evening when everything is getting kind of groovy.
A laid-back groove, a jazzy rhythm, and a cool sax riff that made it stand out. Originally an instrumental, it was re-released with vocals and climbed into the top 10 by January.
Love's kind of crazy with a spooky little girl like you.
It wasn't loud or flashy, but it stuck with you. If you ever heard it on a quiet night, you probably remember how it made you feel. Smooth and understated, it's still one of the most memorable tracks of the month. Here's a cool detail. 2 of the band's members later helped form the Atlanta rhythm section, keeping that smooth southern sound alive into the next decade. We Can Fly by the Cowsills. Before the Partridge Family, there was the Cowsills,
See how the fluffy clouds move by us. See how the clouds move by. See how
a real-life family band with polished harmonies and a clean pop sound. We Can Fly followed their earlier hit and carried the same optimistic vibe. It peaked at number 21 in January and felt like sunshine in song form. They weren't trying to be edgy, just joyful. And sometimes that's exactly what people needed. Not many people realized the band included their mother, Barbara Cowsill, making them one of the first family bands to land major chart success, and an inspiration for the TV show that followed, Susan by the Buckinghams. At first, it sounds like a simple love song.
Susan, looks like I am losing. I'm losing my mind.
Catchy, polished, and full of brass, the kind of thing the Buckinghams were known for. But in the middle, it suddenly shifts into a psychedelic sound collage that caught many listeners off guard. Some radio stations even tried to edit that part out. Still, the song climbed to number 11 and became one of their last big hits. It's a track that shows just how fast pop music was evolving in 1968. One twist? The band didn't want the psychedelic break at all. It was added by producers after recording, and they publicly said they hated it. Different Drum by Stone Ponies featuring Linda Ronstadt. This was the track that introduced most of America to Linda Ronstadt. She was just 21, and her performance here stood out. Clear, honest, and emotionally real. The lyrics flipped the usual breakup narrative, with a woman saying she wasn't ready to settle down. It climbed to number 13 in January and gave Ronstadt her first real national attention. Even if you didn't know her name yet, this was the moment where everything started. Here's a little-known fact. The song was written by Mike Nesmith of the Monkees, and he originally intended it to be sung by a man. Am I That Easy to Forget by Engelbert Humperdinck. Engelbert wasn't chasing trends. He was staying true to classic ballads. This song, originally recorded by others, became his own through a smooth vocal delivery and a lush orchestral backing. It hit number 18 in January and stuck around thanks to its emotional weight. It was the kind of song that played late at night, soft, sincere, and a little bit sad. One thing you might not know, Engelbert's stage name was actually borrowed from a 19th century German composer, a calculated move by his manager to make him stand out in a crowded market. Going Out of My Head, Can't Take My Eyes Off You by the Letterman. This medley blended two already famous songs into one polished performance. The Lettermen were known for their smooth harmonies, and this track showed why. It reached number 7 in early February and felt both familiar and fresh at the same time. The arrangement was clean, the vocals tight, and if you'd ever heard either song on its own, hearing them together made you hear them differently. What made it unique? The group deliberately slowed the tempo and softened the delivery to let the emotion lead, and it paid off. Those were some chart gems from January 1968, songs that didn't just fill the airwaves, but carved out a moment in time. Some were fun, some were strange, some hit hard without needing to raise their voice. And even if the names faded, the melodies stayed. If one of these tracks brought back a memory, let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this trip, we've got plenty more coming. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you in February 1968.